right. Hey, my bad. We just had a little bump in. I got my card stolen for fraud, and Noah stepped up. We're back. The first thing that I wanted to record last night, but I was mad tired from doing nothing all day.
It really takes a toll on you sitting down for 12 hours and watching football.
So the first thing that I feel like we should talk about is the Chiefs Falcons. First thing I want to say, are we shocked?
Not even the slightest bit.
The Chiefs got the call, and it's really to the point where nothing.
They're not even hiding it.
Nothing in the Chiefs game is consistently called across the entire NFL, because in every single NFL game, that's a pass interference call in the end zone. They should have got the ball in the one, whatever. Then I want you to comment on that. And the second thing that I want to bring up, Patrick Mahomes has not been playing good football, plain and simple. We heard about how high flying this offense was going to be and how great it was going to be. Xavier Worthy's not good. I think Rashee Rice is legit. Travis Kelce has taken a very big step back. And if it wasn't for Harrison Butker being able to nail 50+ yarders and the refs, I think there's a real conversation to be had that the Chiefs could easily be 0-3.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of their games have been one-score games.
Yeah.
The call in the end zone was crazy. That was clearly a pass interference on Kyle Pitts. I don't know how that goes uncalled, but like we said, the Chiefs end up getting those types of calls, and nobody else does. It fits into the Kirk Cousins primetime narrative, which is unfortunate because I think he played better than Patrick Mahomes today. Well, yesterday, sorry. Falcons couldn't run the football, which hurt them, but I think you're right as far as everything else that you mentioned. Rashee Rice is nasty. 12 for 110 and a touchdown. And there was something that there was a point where Collinsworth on the broadcast last night said like that Rashee Rice was like the complement to Travis Kelce. Rashee Rice is the best player on the Chiefs offense aside from Mahomes.
By far.
And I think Pacheco's even better than Kelce at this point. Obviously he didn't play last night, but I think it's not that insane of a thing at this point in Travis Kelce's career to say that he's probably the third best player from a skill position outlook on this team. But yeah, another game too with Harrison Butker, 3 for 3 on field goals. He did miss an extra point, but he had 10 points. He was contributed to 10 of the Kansas City Chiefs' 22 points. Just a tough one. This was another one that the Falcons probably shouldn't have lost.
No, they shouldn't have. One thing that I feel like was worrisome if I'm a Falcons fan is what was with Kirk throwing ducks last night.
Yeah, there was a couple throws where I was like, that wasn't really great.
No, it was a complete duck.
But I don't know. I guess maybe that's just what happens when you start to lose some arm strength at age 35, and maybe your like lower half is also coming off a leg injury. Well, like I can imagine how you probably can't generate the same type of like power and momentum through your legs up to your arm as you start to get older, and I would imagine that's kind of what comes with it is bad throws here and there.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about this game? I mean, obviously, we said it last week. The Chiefs will always get the call. They get officiated differently than every other team in the NFL. If you don't think that, you're insane. And you're probably on the Mahomes bandwagon and the Chiefs bandwagon, but they are just not a good football team. And somehow the ref show always bails them out. It's really frustrating to watch. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
I do want to shout out Brady. He did predict a Justin Simmons interception, which he did have one of those last night. Mahomes threw some, probably should have had like 3 picks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's not playing good. The one thing that really pissed me off was Collinsworth when Mahomes absolutely threw one into the dirt, and it was just like flat, a bad throw, and he was like, "Oh, you could just Mahomes is so high IQ, just throwing this one into the dirt." It's like, no, that was just a bad throw. Like it's just crazy.
Was it the same one that he was like about to get sacked and he just threw the ball to like Samaje Perine like at the line of scrimmage, like
No,
3 yards in front of him?
Different
Well, yeah,
one.
he did the same. He did a similar thing there. He's like, what a play by Mahomes there to not take the sack and just how's he so strong? How did he not go down there? I'm like,
I hate him.
it's crazy. I used to really like him, but like it's starting to seem like he's losing it a little bit this year.
He's not losing it. He's just rides Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I just think it's a little annoying because I don't think that there's a lot of great players in the NFL and a lot of good teams. And it sucks that we have to watch the Chiefs get bailed out time and time again. But I mean, I guess it is what it is.
It makes it feel even worse too, because it always feels like it's on like the single, like one of the, like the game of the week.
Oh yeah,
type situation where like they're the only game, or like it's the very end of the 4 o'clock games and like they're the only one that's playing and everyone's watching it, and so everybody sees it and it's like, oh, okay, well, they just got bailed out again on a national, on in front of every person that was watching football, and it's just going to continue to happen. So
yeah, and honestly, my big takeaway, of course, as we expected, going through the first 3 weeks of the season, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, and Geno Smith will all be undefeated.
Yeah, we did call that coming into this week or into this season. It's actually insane what's happening right now. It's been a crazy 3 weeks so far.
It has been. Minnesota wins at home versus the Texans. And the story that everybody's going to talk about right now is Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold. But Brian Flores is approaching boogeyman territory. In 12 quarters, he's allowed 3 touchdowns with the retirement home in on this team. Harrison Smith, Stephon Gilmore, Harrison Phillips.
Andrew Van Ginkel. He's not old, but
I just don't understand how he's getting the most out of this defense as he is. But I mean, hats off to Brian Flores. I think that this defense is going to be absolutely disgusting the entire year, it seems like. And I'm not sold on the fact that Sam Darnold is just going to be like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he probably does have a little bit of a come down to earth moment, but as of right now, he's playing really good football as well.
This was the Brian Flores piece of this is what I highlighted when we talked about this game last week. I thought he put on a clinic against the Niners from a defensive standpoint, and then he does the exact same thing to the Texans, who had everybody playing in this game. I know the Niners didn't have McCaffrey, but like still to hold them to 17 and then you hold the Texans to 7. I mean, he made CJ Stroud look pretty pedestrian out there on Sunday. Which isn't easy to do with all those weapons. But yeah, he's been doing an absolutely killer job. He's making it as easily as humanly possible on Sam Darnold and this offense. So is what he's doing on defense something that can withstand 14 more games? Who knows? We're going to find out. But if they keep this up, and they just have to ask Sam Darnold to do. I mean, Sam Darnold had 4 touchdowns, but he only threw for 181 yards. If they only need Sam Darnold to just be the game manager that he is and just not turn the football over, the Vikings are going to be a very good team throughout the rest of this season.
I completely agree with you. I think that their defense speaks measures. I do think that their division's really hard, and when they start to get in that interdivision play, I'm not really overreacting or underreacting to anything through these first 3 weeks of the season. I just think we're watching these teams kind of adjust to get comfortable, and the middle and the back half of the season is going to obviously be what matters.
I mean, I've had an overreaction. I'll continue to have one for every week, and I've got 3 this week, but one of them isn't really an overreaction, but I have that the Vikings are the best team in the NFL. So yeah,
that's
through 3 weeks, I think
reaction.
It's not like 2 of the 3 aren't crazy, but that was one of them that I had. I didn't want to like double down on it again because I already said last week that they would win the division, but as my overreaction. But how can you not talk about this team when they go out there and just make the Texans look like they don't even belong on the same football field?
I think that me and you before the season had a very realistic expectation of the Texans where we both thought that they would take a step back. And I don't think that their offense is as good as everybody hyped them up to be. Their offensive line just isn't good. They make a ton of mistakes. They get a ton of penalties. And I think this is something that we talked about like coming into the season. I think probably something to keep in mind is like who the Vikings have played through the first 3 weeks of the season.
I was just going to say that.
They obviously beat the 49ers, but the 49ers right now are kind of a shell of themselves. They went and beat the Texans, which if we go off of how me and you felt about them preseason, it wasn't what everybody else thought of them. And then who did they beat week 1?
Are you talking about the Vikings?
The Vikings, sorry.
Okay, because I thought you were talking about the Texans. But I think your point still stands true for the Texans. We did think that they were going to take a step back. But to be fair, I'm pretty sure when we were previewing this team, we projected them to win these first 3 games anyways. It was Bears, or it was at Colts. So basically they played 2 rookie quarterbacks the first 2 weeks, which those were both wins, and then the Vikings, which they got smoked, but that's the Texans. Vikings, week 1, they played the Giants, and then the Niners, and then the Texans.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know. I think it's probably just something to keep in mind, obviously. But obviously, I think that this defense is actually the real deal, which is crazy.
I know for a fact that when I was looking at this Vikings schedule that I did not have them winning the game against the Niners and the game against the Texans.
That's fair.
So they're certainly ahead of schedule.
Were you also expecting the 49ers to like have George Kittle go down, have Deebo Samuel go down, not have Christian McCaffrey? Like they were missing like all of their guys on offense.
At week 2 of the season, no, I did not expect the Niners to be as banged up as they are. Maybe week 10, 11, that's a different story, but week 2, no.
Completely agree. And then the next point, because I brought up Justin Fields too, the Steelers still don't move me in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what everybody else sees. Everybody seems to be extremely high on them and really like them. I just don't see it. They don't move me. What do you think?
I mean, I saw some good flashes from him this weekend.
Justin Fields?
From Justin Fields, yeah. He had some flashes for sure. I don't think there's any like actual way to deny that. But again, the Chargers shouldn't even have bothered to play Justin Herbert in this game. He was banged up. I don't know how he ended up even being ready to play, and then he ends up hurting his leg again and came out towards the end of the game, third quarter, fourth quarter. But either way, they shouldn't have even have played him. The Steelers, it's really just this defense. This defense is tough. And I think they're going to be, this is just the Steelers blueprint. We got to skate by on offense. Now, I think their offense is better now than it has been, but their defense is playing at an absurd level. There's also really only one thing that you need to take away with this Chargers team, and it's them being able to run the football. Because are you looking at the offense of the Chargers and saying, yeah, we're scared of Quentin Johnston beating us? Yeah, we're scared of Ladd McConkey beating us? Probably not.
Quentin Johnston's the real deal.
Hey, he's had the best 2 games of his career in back-to-back weeks. So
yeah, he's been balling out. I'm just kidding. I'm with you to a point. I just think that like, I don't know. They just don't move me. That's really what it comes down to. I can obviously like be wrong about them, but
again, I'm looking through looking through this schedule, myself and Steelers fans projected them to win majority of these first few games. And then that second half of the season is where it really starts to get difficult. So I think we'll really begin to see what the Steelers team is made of once they get to like they play the Colts next, but then they go Cowboys, at Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders, Ravens, Brown. Like the second half of this season is really what it comes down to, and we'll really figure out just how good the Steelers are.
I'm right with you. I wanted to do $1 million picks recap real quick. I obviously hit on the Garrett Wilson touchdown. Shout out. The Steelers, Chargers all under of 29.5, missed by half of a point. That stings. And then the Cards +3. So we started with $1 million. I'm at now at 714.5. Not great. Not a great start to the season, but the Cardinals really, we'll talk about the Cardinals next, but that was a weird game. And then the Steelers Chargers, man, that sucked. When Calvin Austin broke a long touchdown, I was like, it's just I'm just unlucky.
It hurts. Unlucky. Honestly, nothing hurts more than seeing Calvin Austin score, I don't think.
Seeing him take off like that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but I had the Chargers money line, and then I also had the teaser of Bears +8, Pats +13. I did take that in real life. And I also had the Chargers in a parlay in real life too, but I'm now down to 944,250. I still have James Cook touchdown open on the board, so we're gonna have to see what happens with that tonight. But not a great start for us.
No, not at all. So let's talk about the Lions, Cardinals, Lions. Main takeaway, I don't want to stroke my ego, but I absolutely called the Cardinals defense being actually pretty decent this season. They were low half of the league. I think that they're probably middle pack of the league now, but
yeah,
what they did this week against the Lions, they held Lions scoreless in the second half. I thought that they looked really good. And I think that their run defense obviously is not great. Once they get their first round pick back, I think we can have a different conversation. I think he probably makes an impact, but I mean, to hold the Lions to no points in the second half, like hats off to the Cardinals defense.
Yeah. I thought that I had the Cardinals in some shape or form. Over 20.5 points. I thought they were actually going to be able to move the football against this Lions defense. So props to the Lions. I think they did a good job of shutting down the Cardinals run game. I think it just goes to show just how important the Cardinals being able to run the football drastically opens up the rest of that offense for them. We saw Kyler Murray get out and get mobile a little bit, but James Conner and Trey Benson, there was just no success for those two guys. Cardinals were able to throw the football around a little bit, but again, the Lions did a great job of just making them one-dimensional. So yeah, I agree with you with the Cardinals defense as well, though. They looked really good in the second half. They continuously gave that offense chances to get back into this game. But they just couldn't get over the hump in the second half.
Yeah, I wanted to see them give Connor more totes at the rock. They didn't do it. They got away from that, which was interesting. And then Kyler was just big game hunting literally the entire game. Like
he was.
Sometimes I really want him to slow down and take what the defense has given him. Ultimately, I think Marv and him get better chemistry, and I think Marv comes down with those contested catches. But again, like I feel like if you're a Cardinals fan, if you're a part of that Cardinals organization, you have to feel really good through the first 3 weeks of the season. What do you think?
I think you're spot on. I think this was probably a game that people expected the Cardinals to lose in the first place, but the fact is you hung around with the Bills and the Lions, and those are two teams that are thought of extremely highly as far as Super Bowl contenders. And you were absolutely in both games, and then you took care of a Rams team. Although depleted, you went in there and did what you had to do. And we just saw that Rams team come out this past week and pull off a crazy upset. So I think you got to be happy. Obviously, losing sucks, especially when you feel like you're in the game the entire time. But at the grand scheme of how this season is played out through 3 weeks, I think you have to be pretty excited as a Cardinals fan for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the thing, I said I was down on the Lions when they first came into the season. I think the Lions have a lot to be worried about. There's just at times where their offense just like isn't clicking. Like you have one of their first possessions where you hand it off to David Montgomery pretty much every single play, and he runs the ball down everybody's throat. Then you have like an exciting drive where Amon-Ra St. Brown catches it and like pop passes to Jahmyr Gibbs and sends it to the end zone. That was sweet. But then on the other side of things, there's just times where their offense is super stagnant, doesn't look good. Jared Goff doesn't look good. And I just think it's so weird how there's at some points of the game, they look completely unstoppable. And then at other points of the game when they just like can't get anything going.
To be fair, I think that that's just like a normal progression of football. And that's a normal thing that's going to happen throughout a game if you're going up against a decent defense. I think that's just how it is. Like the defensive side of the ball is going to make adjustments and you're going to get stops. No team in the NFL at this point is good enough to just move up and down the field every single time they get the football.
No, that's fair. I just think the big contrast is just super noticeable whenever you're watching the Lions.
Fair. That Jared Goff interception, one, it probably should have been a pick six if that guy unhitched his wagon on the Cardinals defense. But two, that was a terrible, terrible throw and decision. I don't know what he was looking at. He threw it right to him.
Another thing too was that weird call by the refs when it was like the 2-minute warning. I felt like that was premature. I think that should have been a pick six, but it is what it is. Honestly, that was another weird decision by Jared Goff that he kind of got saved by the bell.
Yeah, but I think the overall game plan from the Lions was more so of what it should be moving forward. It's Jared Goff only had I think 23 to 25 pass attempts for Jared Goff is probably right where you would want him to be if you are a Lions fan. And then you look over here at the rushing stats, and Montgomery and Gibbs had 23 and 16 rush attempts. Like that is who they are as an offense. And I think they're going to have the most success when they do that. And when they get the ball into Montgomery's hands and when they get the ball into Gibbs' hands, like obviously you still need to find ways to get Amon-Ra the football, but those two guys in their backfield are definitely the workhorses. You don't want Jared Goff throwing the ball 55 times. That's absolutely absurd.
Next game, Eagles at Saints. First takeaway, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson really needs to shut the fuck up.
He's making me nervous. He's just making me really nervous.
Does he like not know that he's the reason why the defense
they scored so
bad? Seriously, it's like almost like baffling. He has given up a big touchdown every single week.
Yeah, you can't be talking that much shit if you're giving up what could have been like the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, very interesting. Don't really love him too much. He's really annoying. I don't care what anybody says after that game. Sirianni's so hot. It's very bad. There are legitimate, and I said it coming into the season, and you said I was crazy. There is bad vibes around the Eagles organization. If you literally watch an Eagles game and then go on Twitter or go literally anywhere, the entire game is like, fuck Sirianni, fuck Sirianni, fuck Sirianni. And then somehow like they pull out a win. And then real quick, and then I'll let you comment. Saquon's the most important player in football. I think he's playing at an MVP level. He's so good. And he's just he's an ultimate game changer. When he's fully healthy, he's got to be one of the best players in the NFL.
Yeah, he's so fun. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that in a second. The Sirianni play calling and the Sirianni decision making was infuriating. I don't understand why he tried to. I think it might just be like a pride thing at this point where it's like, oh, I need to go out there and make this call, and if we get it, I'm gonna look like a genius, and then you mismanage the play 3 different times, going for it on 4th down the 2 times, and then it was going for it on 4th down like 3 different times, 2 different times, not getting any of them, and then kicking a field goal. Or no, what was it? Either way, he fucked up like 3 times, and it was so annoying. There was multiple 4th downs where they should have just kicked the field goal, and they went for it, and they didn't get it. And then he comes out after the game and is like, "Yeah, the one right before the half was on me. I went to Kellen Moore and made that decision." Aside from Kellen Moore not giving Saquon Barkley the football in the first quarter, I thought from like a schematic point, and I think there was probably guys getting open more so than what we could actually see on the TV. I thought the offense looked schematically good. I thought Jalen Hurts needs to figure out a way to hold on to the football. I mean, the fumble and the interception are just like painfully unfortunate to watch. The ball that he threw to Devontae Smith in the end zone, I can understand that throw maybe a little bit more if you're throwing it to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's a bigger guy and can win a jump ball situation like that a little bit more. But you've got to know your receivers in that situation. I think Smitty is a better one-on-one, like jump up and make a play rather than having to jump through somebody. But that was just a stupid throw. The fumble's inexcusable. You got to hold on to the ball in the pocket like that. And he's just got to be better. He made the right check in the 4th quarter to find Dallas Goedert, which set up the game-winning touchdown by Saquon. And I'll tell you what, if the Eagles don't have Saquon Barkley, they might be 0-3.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know that Jalen Hurts like leads the league in passing. He has not moved me this season as a football player. He just hasn't. I just don't think he looks good. I think he's regressed. I know that Eagles fans would probably like disagree with that because like the stats back up that he's like doing okay. But I just think if you like eye test it, there's still limitations with the play calling with him. And I don't think that he's playing very like to the point where I expected Jalen to be after the Super Bowl when he played probably the greatest game I've ever seen played by a quarterback, where I thought that he could possibly be after watching him in that game. I just feel like he's just really keeps taking steps back. But that's my only nitpick with this team right now. And like you said, if you don't have Saquon Barkley, this team's probably 0-3.
Yeah, he's been playing out of his mind. And I think Smitty's going to be back this week. But with A.J. Brown out, they're going to have to lean on Saquon Barkley more these upcoming weeks, which they should. He's been the best player on offense by far.
State of the Union on Jahad Dawson, since we talked about it last week. Any other updates that you saw from Jahad this week? Because he's quiet.
Yeah, but you didn't see the rub route that he ran to get Dallas Goedert wide open.
I did see it, but he's been quiet though. He's been quiet.
Yeah, he has been. To be honest, he hasn't done anything bad or anything good. So it's just like whatever. But also the way that this offense is, like, he should be the 4th option at this point. Like, it should be Smitty, or it should be Saquon, Smitty, and then Dallas Goedert as the 3 people that get the football before him.
I guess. I mean, he's just not.
But like, he just hasn't done anything.
There were literally people on TV. There were literally people on TV being like, "The Eagles have the best wide receiving core in the entire NFL."
Yeah, but that's how people on TV are.
I'm just saying.
And how they overreact.
Well, I'm just saying that was the narrative, and
Paris Campbell has more catches than him.
Yeah,
and Paris Campbell's played 1 game.
Yeah, it's not good.
I do want to shout out the defense. They played so much better. Jalen Carter was a monster that whole game.
Yeah, and then he ruined it by acting like a complete idiot. Yeah.
The Eagles
All right.
defensive line coach is also a terrifying human being.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next game, Ravens Cowboys. I'm just gonna fly through this. Lamar 21-1 versus the NFC. Said that the other day. Ravens love to blow games, and they almost blew this one as well.
That one was so stressful. They were up 28-6 or 20. They were up by like at least 20 points at one point in the second half, and it kind of just felt like they stopped trying, and the Cowboys got right back into it. 19 in the fourth quarter. Ravens didn't score at all in the fourth, and this was a game where the Ravens could have realistically won by 35. But they took their foot off the gas. Derrick Henry, however, had a great game. 25 carries, 151 yards, 2 tutties. Like,
yeah, he looks good.
That's what people were expecting out of the Ravens backfield when they got Derrick Henry, is games like that. But yeah, he that one stiff arm that he had, man, he put that dude 6 feet deep with that stiff arm. That was crazy.
Next game, 49ers at Rams. Niners blow it. And this is one of those situations where after the entire weekend, like, coaches really make these games. I mean, you see it with Green Bay.
Yeah.
You see it with the Niners, Rams. Doesn't really matter who they have out on the field. If you're a really good coach, you're able to make a really good game out of who you have. And I mean, the Niners Rams game was, on paper, like, it looked like shit because all of their best players were hurt, and it turned out to be one of the best games of the entire weekend. So yeah, coaches definitely make games, and the Niners blew one.
Yeah, they did. I had on here as this was my other overreaction that wasn't like, I don't think it's that crazy of an overreaction, but Sean McVay is the best coach in the NFL. It was my thought after this. I don't know what other head coach you could have in that Rams situation that would have won them that football game.
No, I completely agree with you.
And then Kyron Williams went off to 24 carries, 89 yards, 2 tutties, and then two catches for 27 and a touchdown.
Yeah, I traded for him in fantasy. People said I was crazy when I did it, but feeling pretty good about that trade to this day.
Also Jawan Jennings. I feel like we need to mention him. 11 catches, 175 and 3 touchdowns. I mean,
yeah, that was stupid. I still don't get it. I really still don't understand it. So yeah, it is what it is.
I think he might be Brock Purdy's favorite receiver, if we're being honest. Brandon Ayuk just doesn't look like it. Looks like Brandon Ayuk missed all of training camp. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, I think we have to have a blood pact that, like, if elite wide receivers miss the entire summer with their team, that we should just fade them because, like, CD looks out of sorts. He had some drops and a fumble.
Yeah.
Out of sorts. He drops everything. Jamar Chase looks out of sorts. Like, they just don't look good. So, like, if that happens again, like, clearly practicing in the summer matters a ton.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that down here in the notes. If you miss the entire summer, I'm hesitant on you the first couple weeks of the football season.
Definitely. Another one, real quick. Panthers win over the Raiders. I said that AP was going to get fired after one season. He's already in shambles. He went into the press conference and said some questionable things already. They're making a quarterback change. I just think that they're going to be in a pretty bad spot moving forward. And the Raiders obviously got a cheeky win over the Ravens, but to lose over the Panthers with Andy Dalton is just inexcusable. And I just don't think that the Raiders are a good football team.
Yeah, this was a game where if I'm looking at the schedule, I would have predicted Did you just flip the screen on me?
No.
I would have predicted the Raiders to win. That it's just inexcusable. The one thing that they could at least lean on is they can kind of get after it on defense, and Andy Dalton went in there and just picked them apart. Another game that Brady Green projected. So shout out to Brady. What I wanted to say about this Panthers situation is, yes, they got a win. but it was also against a bad team. I think the Andy Dalton situation, starting him, like projected some life into this locker room. Hey, we have a chance now on offense now that Bryce Young is no longer playing. But do I think that this makes the Carolina Panthers
A Super Bowl contender.
much better than? I mean, what didn't we pick the Panthers to win like 7 games?
Yeah.
Do I think that this makes them win more than 7 games this season because Andy Dalton is in there? No. So maybe we were accidentally right about it.
Yeah.
Like maybe they get to 7 games with Andy Dalton because they sure as shit weren't doing it with Bryce Young.
Yeah, they weren't. Next game that I have here, Bo Nix cooked over the Bucks. I mean, that's just one of those classic games where you really have to pay attention to the injury report. Everybody who knew a damn about what was going on with this game kept mentioning all the injuries on the defensive side of the football for the Bucks. And Bo Nix came out and did his thing, and he looked really good. So good for them to get their first win.
Yeah, I thought they looked frisky on defense too.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix looked like, I know he didn't throw any touchdowns, but like he was moving well out of the pocket, and I think that that's something that he's going to have to take advantage of moving forward. Is he's a pretty good athlete, and I don't think he needs to try and force passes that aren't there, which we kind of saw him do last week against Seattle.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think this was a really good bounce back game for him, and I think he's probably leading. Oh no, Malik Neighbors. I was going to say offensive rookie of the year might be Bo Nix at this point, but Malik Neighbors has been playing out of his stone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's between Malik and Marvin Harrison at this point.
Honestly. Yeah, Marvin too. Yeah.
And I just think both of those wide receivers are an issue. I said it to Nick earlier today. I think there's like, I'm not going to say that Marvin's going to score every single week, but like when they get into the red zone, like he's the guy that they really look to in pretty much every capacity. So I think from like a scoring, I don't think Marv is going to be the type of guy, like he's going to have it at some point where he gets like 12 catches and like, but like, he's just one of those guys that is just going to make people pay like in the red zone, I feel like. And something that I kind of always expected DK Metcalf to do, but he just like doesn't do it for some reason.
I also think the Cardinals kind of have a couple guys that you have to worry about too once you get down to the red zone. Like obviously the threat of Kyler Murray running is important. I still think you have to worry about James Conner. Trey McBride has shown us that he can be a red zone threat, and on top of that you have Marv. So like there's a few things that could drive you crazy as a defense when you get down to the red zone that you have to worry about. But yeah, these two rookie wide receivers have been fun to watch through a couple weeks.
Yeah, they're a problem. Okay, do you have anything else that you want to talk about on week 3, or do we cover everything?
I have one other note here. As I was watching this Dolphins Seahawks game, if the Dolphins want a chance in hell of winning a football game, they have to play somebody else at quarterback. Skylar Thompson is gonna legitimately get killed out there if they keep playing him. I felt like every time I looked over at this game, he was like trying to pick himself up off the turf. So
yeah, I don't have much to say about that game just because the Dolphins are just in an unfortunate spot, honestly, at this point.
And then we didn't talk about the Jets at all, did we?
Yeah.
But
yeah, we did.
That Jet, did we?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then no. That's all I got.
Oh wait, no, we didn't.
No, I didn't think we did.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that the Jets team that we saw on Thursday night is the Jets team that a lot of people probably projected to see throughout this season. I thought Rodgers looked his sharpest in 2 years, and they just went in there and they just took care of business. Jacoby Brissett is just screwed back there at this point.
Yeah, honestly, I know a lot of people were excited about that game for the Jets. I thought Aaron Rodgers looked great. He was moving well. He was throwing the ball well. But ultimately, I think it remains the same. I think coaching for them is going to be a massive problem.
They played a team that's probably not going to go very far in the grand scheme of things.
They're not going to be good at all. And I think that was a game that they could have easily put up 40 points in, but I just don't think that they can because of how they manage the clock. at going into halftime, they were playing for a field goal instead of trying to go and get 6. That was one of those games where I said I wanted them to cut it loose. Rodgers did that, but I just feel like there was a lot more to be desired from this offense.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. But also, do you realistically think that this Jets team is going to be a team that's going to go out there and put up like 42 points?
I mean, you should want to see it at some point.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I don't. Is that a game where you're going to have to worry about doing it against the Patriots?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved. I think yes, I think so. I mean, I would have loved to see Garrett Wilson get going. Garrett Wilson's been having. We talked about it. Me and you thought that he was like solidifying himself as like one of like the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's been extremely underwhelming all season. He finished that game with 30 yards. He got a touchdown, so it looked a little bit better, but he's been so underwhelming this season. I don't know. I'm still not high on this Jets team, even after Rodgers looked decent against the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots are going to be very good. And ultimately, like the Patriots on Sunday played an overtime game against the Seahawks. They played a ton of football and then turned around on Thursday night and had to play the Jets. It's just a tough spot for them. I thought the Jets should have had their way with them, and they just kind of didn't.
I mean, the Jets shut down that Patriots offense, who we just saw Ramondre Stevenson go and run for 100+ yards in back-to-back games. And the Jets just got ran all over.
Yeah, like I said, they just got done playing in 5 quarters of football.
Yeah, but that's what I expect this Jets defense to do in a game like that. I think they did exactly what I expected in this situation. They went in there and they just took care of business. Might not have been as flashy and as pretty as need be, but I thought this was the best version thus far that we've seen of the Jets, even though it's not like groundbreaking. It's looked better than.
Hey, something to monitor. I'm just not as
fair.
I'm not
very.
as
I know.
I thought the performance was extremely underwhelming for a Patriots team who is extremely one-dimensional on offense. Like, you have the opportunity to shut down the run game as heavily as you do because you have Jacoby Brissett dropping back every single time and nobody to pass the ball to. So, yeah, I wasn't really shocked that they shut down the run because there's really no threat of the pass. And then, like I said, on offense, I expect a lot more from their key players, essentially. And I think Braylon Allen looks really good. I think Breece Hall looks really good.
I thought Braylon Allen looked good too.
But ultimately, like I don't want Allen Lazard to lead them in yards or Tyler Conklin.
It was Tyler Conklin, yeah.
Yeah, like it was just an interesting game because the Patriots don't have a pot to piss in, and they just got done playing an overtime game against the Seahawks on Sunday and had a short week. So, with all of that being said, I expected the Jets to do more, is what I thought.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. I think as we go, I think that the offense will start to look better. I don't think it looked bad, but I think I do agree with you. I think there could have been. It left us with more to be desired.
No doubt.
I think as we progress through the season, we'll start to see, like, to be fair too, like Rodgers is coming off of an Achilles injury where he hasn't played football in a year. So that's another thing that we have to keep in mind is I brought this up last pod was guys that come off of a leg injury like that, it usually takes them a year to get back into the swing of things. And I don't understand why like that hasn't really been talked about as much with Aaron Rodgers.
Because Rodgers was sitting there tooting his horn saying that he was going to be back by playoffs last season. That's why.
Yeah, but we knew he wasn't. We knew he was not.
But that's why. You're sitting here asking why. That's why. Because Rodgers acted like he didn't tear his Achilles and was just like, oh, yeah, like I'm going to play. So that's why.
Okay, I guess you're right. But we knew that wasn't happening. So that's why I think I'm looking at it through this lens of I didn't take not 1 ounce of me thought that he was going to come back and play in the playoffs. So it just was like, to me, he was always going to be out for a year.
Fair.
So,
okay, let's get into these Monday night games. Jags at Bills. Man, I don't know. I know a lot of people are on the Jags to win tonight. I have watched the Jags the first 2 weeks. There has been zero indication for me to think that they're going to go into Buffalo and win this football game. I think this is going to be one of those games where everybody starts to really realize, like, holy shit, the Jacksonville Jaguars might be absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I'm definitely afraid of this game if I'm a Jaguars fan. You're going into Buffalo too, which is never easy. And I think like the last 7 primetime games that the Jags have played in, they've lost. So that doesn't bode well either. But I don't know. I think an underdog wins in one of these games tonight or keeps it close, but I don't want to pick the Commanders to be that, but a lot of people are on the Jags and it's kind of throwing me off. So I don't know.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it with the Jags at all.
I haven't seen a thing that I haven't seen a situation where I'm like, okay, yeah, the Jags are going to come in here and they're going to compete and it's going to be a close game. I think people are trying to trick themselves into thinking because it's Trevor Lawrence, because
I don't think they've watched the games. I don't. I watched in the past 2 weeks, unless if they execute in the red zone tonight and limit penalties, then maybe they have a fighter's chance and keep it within that 4.5 points. But if they win this game outright, I'll be dead shocked. Shocked.
I'll stick a beefy 5
later. Yeah. On the other side of things, I would like to see the Bills pass the ball effectively, if possible. I would like
if they need to, yeah,
if they need to. Not even if they need to. I just want to see them pass the football because I haven't seen it yet this year. That is what it is. Do you have anything that you want to add about that?
I just was going to ask you what the spread and the total was.
4.5, and the over under is 46.5. I mean, I don't know. This is just a weird game. I would probably pick the under, and I'd probably pick the Bills to win this game. I just don't think Jacksonville's good on offense at all.
I don't think we're going to see them improve until they fire whoever's calling the plays.
Yeah, I'm right with you. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. I just, like I said, I don't think people have been watching Jacksonville over the last 3 weeks.
I agree. And to transition into this next game, I don't want to pick both favorites to win tonight, but the Commanders secondary is just literal dog shit. And
their secondary sucks. Their D-line sucks. Their linebackers suck. Their offensive line sucks. Their skill positions suck. Like, what else do we need to talk about?
It just seems too good to be true to bet on the Bills and the Bengals tonight, and it hit.
Yeah, I don't know
where I'm at.
I'm with you, but I really don't think it's that. I don't think it's that hard.
You think we think it's we're overthinking it?
Yeah, I just don't think it's that hard. I'm usually a guy who like picks every single underdog on the entire board and wonder why I lose on my bets.
That's why I'm shook about this analysis of these games.
I just think both these teams are bad. Like, I think Jacksonville is legitimately bad. I was wrong about them. I think the Commanders suck. One prop that I do like tonight is Gesicki over 27.5 yards. He had 91 yards last week. I think Joe Burrow just likes him. So I think it's very realistic for him to get 30 yards in a game.
I heard that's why Joe Burrow dyed his hair.
Yeah.
He wanted to look more like Mike Gesicki.
I love Gesicki, and Gesicki's my guy ultimately at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one a lot too. I've seen a lot of people tweet out their tickets for this game, and it's under in Gesicki receiving yards, which was confusing to me.
Well, they don't want to see him be great.
They don't. I mean, a guy that was coming off a 10-catch, 109-yard game, and everyone's taking the under. Maybe they're trying to reverse psychology me on the timeline.
I think it's probably like them thinking that
he can't do it back to back.
Yeah, that he's not going to do it back to back, etc., whatever that might be. But yeah, that's what I personally think. That's my one prop that I really love tonight. Outside of that, I don't know. I think this game's just like a little weird.
What does a parlay of the Bengals money line, Bills money line pay?
It would pay you out Buffalo Bills. It would be minus 115.
It's not bad. Is the Gesicki line minus 115?
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, I still have my James Cook touchdown for $10,000 picks, but
$100 picks.
$100 picks. So I'm rooting for that. I don't know what type of boosts are being offered currently, but I'm really thinking about this Bengals Bills parlay, and then I might just trail you with the Gesicki bet as well.
We do have a live boost tonight that I'm thinking about putting. I'm thinking about boosting a Christian Kirk touchdown, which is at plus 220 right now, and boosting it 50%. It's probably a death sentence, but he hasn't done anything, so I feel like at some point he's going to do something.
We need to get him somehow involved in this offense. I mean, if you can, they've clearly figured out how to get Brian Thomas Jr. the football. They need to do the same thing with Christian Kirk. And I also got a notification that Evan Ingram isn't playing.
Yeah, I figured that.
So they only got 2 guys to throw the football to. Why not Christian Kirk? We from a vibe standpoint of this podcast, you and C Kirk being guys, we need to get him involved in this offense.
Yeah, I'm right with you. That's why I'm just gonna take him to score tonight and say fuck it. But that's all I got. I don't have anything else. That's what I think's going on. But I do think that it's literally that easy tonight. I just think Jacksonville's really bad.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I think we already have a couple bets in the Discord for this evening.
Yep, we do. Everybody's been posting. We've got a few people posting their bets, their tickets in the Discord. Join Scary Hours Discord, link below. Keep subscribing, keep liking the videos, keep watching. Thank you. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
That's our week 3 breakdown for you guys.
Thanks for paying this thing because I got hacked. So
hey,
you really came through tonight.
It's part of it. It's part of the grind.
All right, peace.
All right, go Birds.
White clouds